Okay, now this is part 2 of my watercolor kind of tutorial. I just want to go into my colors. So this palette, I have a bunch of colors, and originally I have it set up where I had all my cool colors on this side and my warm ones on this side, but that didn't last very long. So I started out with diaxanine purple, or however you say it, then cad lemon, alizarin crimson, and cerulean blue. Some other colors I have in here that aren't really, I'm not sure what they are exactly, or rather what their temperature is. I just know it when I start painting. This here is phthalo green, I'm pretty sure. This I know is phthalo blue. I use this all the time. That's a really great color. Payne's gray, that's a pretty good color. That's really great. This is Venetian red. It's kind of funny. I don't remember what this is, but this is a really cool color. I wish I remembered so I could tell you. This is vermilion. Vermilion's a really great color. It's really bright. Oh, over here are all my warm colors. Or what I started as warm colors. This is cad yellow light. That was one of my original colors. This one's cad orange. This one I put in there later. Cad red light. That one, it's kind of like a red, but it's more of an orangey red. This one's ultramarine blue, and that's a good color. This is lamp black. That's kind of odd. I haven't really used it much. It's still kind of squishy. I expected it'll stay that way. Burnt sienna. I think this is Terra Natural. I'm not sure. One of these is sap green, and then this here is Naples yellow, but I haven't really used that much. Over here I've got dragon's blood, burnt umber, some gray. I think that's charcoal gray probably. Yeah, that's it for that palette. So, oh, and there's a chromium green right here. So this one, yeah, that one I had originally set up as temperatures and then later ignored that. This one I just made the other day, and I set this one up by their approximate color families, regardless of temperature. So here I've got all my reds, starting with alizarin crimson, and it goes on down. This here's my vermilion. These are my oranges. I got cad red light. I forget what that is. That one's cad orange. Forgot that. Forgot that. I think this is new gamboge. This one's yellow ochre. This one is cad yellow light. This is cad lemon. Those you can tell the difference because they have a different temperature. Naples yellow. Some light yellow green. And so on and so forth. This one I think is phthalo. Looks phthalo-y. Yep. You can always tell the phthalo. They always look really vibrant. Blah blah blah. What should I call it? Cerulean? Cerulean. Yes. This one's cerulean. This one's manganese. This one's cobalt. This one I believe is phthalo blue. This one I forget. That's a blue. I don't know what kind. I got a bunch of them that are really similar. Over here I've got my European themed blues. There's Antwerp, Berlin, and Prussian. Ultramarines in here somewhere. And then this I believe starts my purple. Yep. And then I've got a couple of different purples. That one's a reddish purple. See the difference there? This one's reddish right here. This one's reddish. This one's more blue. That one's kind of reddish too. It's kind of in between, I guess. This one's a phthalo purple. This is some gray. I'm not really sure. And then over here I've got a bunch of random ones that I'm not really sure about what they all do. This one's a rose doré. This one's sepia, dragon's blood. This one, I forget. I always forget. There's so many. Originally I had 51 colors in this palette, and then I added like 5, so I could just keep complicating things further. This one this one up here, I forget what it is. Yeah, so that's pretty well the colors in here. Now, and that's just how I have my palette set up. there's no right or wrong way to set up a palette, but right here, I mean, right now I'm cleaning this just so I'll have space to mix colors later, but you don't have to clean it. You can leave it a mess. Usually I like to leave it a mess. I like my messy palette. It gives it some character. I've never taken a watercolor class in my life, ironically. I mean, I've been told what it does, and I've kind of like seen from other people how it works, but I've never actually done it. I've never taken the class myself. The way that I learned color theory, for example, I didn't learn color theory. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of getting in the way of my lens. I didn't learn color theory from a watercolor teacher or whatever. I didn't even learn color theory in my fundamentals class. I kind of learned it, or rather learned it without realizing I was learning it, in oil painting. And in oil painting I learned more about mixing colors. In my fundamentals class, my instructor just kind of like told us, here, get these colors and play with them. And she gave us a little bit of instruction probably, but not enough to really get me going. So probably I didn't learn much about color theory until like the second semester of my sophomore year in art school. Just because the way the classes were that I took, we did the first half of my second semester we worked a lot in black and white, so we learned our gradients. Let me show you the basis of what this is for though. Alright, there's something called local color, and a local color is like the color of something. So for example, an apple's red. Okay? Apples are red. This is vermilion. Alright? And I'll get as pure color as I can in here. That's vermilion. It's a big splotch of vermilion. Okay, that's the local color. So I can change the tint of this though. And here's a really light tint of vermilion. Now it's not the local color. It's not the same color as this anymore, but it still is the same color, you know? But it's a different shade, I guess. It's a tint. And you make tints with watercolor by adding water to them. So if you want a more opaque color, or more of a pure color, you add more of the pigment, okay? So the more pigment and the less water, the more opaque your color is going to be. Watercolor gets really transparent because of all of this, because of water, you know? Sorry if nothing I may say makes sense. So you get this tint. That's the point. That's the way watercolor works, is with tints. And you kind of layer tints of colors over each other on paper. So if I do this, it's kind of a local color, but it's also kind of the tint. This is the rough texture paper, kind of like super cold press. So you can see the grain of the paper. But see, now this is a tint of that. It's transparent. Partially because of the water, partially because of the paper. Now I'm just going to take a bunch of pigment. Like I really loaded up my brush with pigment. And see how opaque that is? And it'll just spread out because that's wet. That's painting wet and wet. If you want to look up how to paint wet and wet, or like dry brush or such, there's a lot of really good videos on that, so I'm not really going to bother showing that because there's a lot of good videos. I mean, just look up painting wet and wet, or just painting techniques with watercolor, anything like that. I'm just doing this to show you what I do, but pretty much any painting techniques are going to be really similar to anybody else. You can also create shadows. I'll show you that really quick by mixing opposite colors, and I'll get more into this in a bit. So like, I just mixed green with that, and now I've created like this grayed out kind of color. This is a gray, but I'm gonna go because I'm ready at my limit. So I'll see you next time.